Hello, listeners. The power of documentary is that it can break down barriers and open people's eyes to realities they've never considered. This is Akashvani Imphal, and to know more about independent documentary filmmaking, we have in our weekly program of English Talk an interview with James Khangembam, independent documentary filmmaker, with our interviewer KAKCHINGTABAM, RITESH Sharma.
First of all, I would like to welcome to the studio, and then to know more about you, to let the listeners know more about you, could you please tell us a little about yourself?
Thank you, Ritesh. My name is James Khangembam. I am from Sega Road, Koirakon Lekai. About myself, I did my graduation in literature and my master's in journalism and mass communication. And since childhood, during my high school, I always loved to write poetry. Storytelling has been of great interest to me.
Okay. You said you started filmmaking at a very early age. How do you got into filmmaking?
I joined a workshop. After my mass communication course, I came back to my home state and started working in ISTV network. Then there I made some in-house production, like documentary filmmaking. Actually, I went to cover a news where Pabung Aribam SHARMA, his film was selected in New York. And one of my senior colleagues called me to cover the news. So in order to cover the news and write about the story, Pabung made us sit at his home and we were watching the documentary film together. Then coming back, I along with my friend Ramananda, we thought like we could also make film. From there on, we talked to our producer to support us in making a film. And they give us all the camera and logistic support. And we did one in-house production. That was the start of my documentary filmmaking. And I was working in media advocacy in a national NGO, which was related to drugs and HIV. At that time, a lot of issue going around stigma and discrimination. We have to sensitize our media friends. And that NGO I worked there was kind of a research-oriented thing. It was funded by Bill Gates Foundation.
Okay.
So we also work on audio-visual materials. And after that, I got an invitation from our local minister through one of his relatives to make a short documentary on his life and work. I made the film. After that, I was not working anywhere. Then I was writing a freelance article, and EPOW, I was writing one article which was quite interesting. A person living in South Korea, a Manipuri expatriate, he was quite interested in that article and he wanted to meet me. When he visited this home, I met him and we started this Manipur Times for 3 years.
Okay.
It's an online portal.
Okay, online portal.
It tells about entrepreneurs, schools and entertainment. It's like a scoop. We publish stories about entrepreneurs and we also publish about entertainment stories through online website and Facebook. So people like that. That time, one of my journalist colleague, he informed me of a documentary workshop. Knowing that I also make film, so he alerted that there is a documentary project development workshop, which was organized by film club called Television and Cine Foundation in collaboration with our Manipur State Film Development Society. And they invited this documentary resource initiative in Calcutta, which is an Asian network of project development thing. So it was a 5 days workshop where we have to compete with our projects. That actually, changed my mind. And I was more focused and I was more drawn into the world of filmmaking. In that workshop, mentors from across India, around 4 mentors came. They were showing their film, they were teaching how to write and how to compete. It was a hands-on help from the workshop. Then I became an independent documentary filmmaker, like one who makes film for competition, having independent stories. And
There must be a source of inspiration. You told me about the journey that you go through. There must be a tip of an iceberg, or there must be an inspiration to become a documentary filmmaker. What sort of inspiration did you get to become a documentary filmmaker?
It's a very nice question. Actually, it's the story first that I wanted to tell. When I joined the workshop, it was a story of the language, the alphabet of Manipuri language. Where in a family, the grandchildren are reading in a different script.
Right.
Of course, the language is the same.
Right.
So I was quite intrigued and interested in that story. So I really wanted to make that film. In that documentary workshop that I attended for the first time to become a serious documentary filmmaker, I applied with that project. The mentors were also quite interested. But in the middle, I was also visiting this Punchlok forest where I became a volunteer. So nature was also drawn too much close. years after I joined the voluntary work there. So I make friends there and I become friend with the nature. I was also simultaneously wanted to make that film. The alphabet one was a little tough thing. So I first completed this environmental project. And this alphabet film, I'm still making this film. And it is being supported by Fall Documenter financially also. And I'm in the middle of this interesting project.
Okay, that's a very inspiring one. And your film, Mayram, The Fire Line, was used as the opening film at the 17 MIFF Festival. So what does it signify, being the opening movie or opening cinema of that festival?
Opening film is like in an Olympic, there's a torch bearer who runs the show of the opening ceremony.
Right.
So my film was that. And it was like an honor, especially because the festival is big. Because Mumbai International Film Festival is one of the largest and the biggest film festival for documentary and shorts and animation in the whole of South Asia. This is an international event. So being an opening film, it was such an honor. And national media published that the curtain of the MIFF will be opened by a film from Manipur. My film was kind of trying to lift up. I was quite lucky to at least represent my state. No?
Right, true.
There I also said during the media interaction in MIFF, I said I came from a very small town and the honor towards my film has given me a lifetime happiness.
Okay.
So I said then and there.
Tell us about the film also, because it got the spotlight, what you said. What it is about and what message do you want to convey in that film, Mayram the Fire Line?
Yeah, Mayram the Fire Line is like a story on an environment, a conservation and peaceful coexistence.
Right.
I made this film in 4 years because I have to wait for a wildfire also, and I have to show in the film the change in season like summer, winter, spring and autumn. It's kind of very experimental. And this forest is from my home just 6 kilometers. It is the story of a group of like-minded people who tried to conserve the forest. It's a peri-urban forest, I would say. It's an urban forest. Every year there used to be a wildfire. Mayram means it's a gap in the vegetation, so that with the wildfire approaching towards the conservation site are stopped, no? Because wildfire mostly occur during windy season. So in winter, before the windy season, these volunteers will camp and make fire line around encircling the conservation area, which is at the hilltop and the remaining range. No? My film starts with the volunteers in their activity and ends with the volunteer activity. But in all this, I blend the story. It is a piece of me when I am there, no? Making friend with the forest. When I submitted this film to the festival, in the director's statement, I write that the audience will feel like he or she is in the forest while watching this film. And in the festival in IDSFK Kerala, one among the audience, he happened to be a film student, already passed out from film school and working in Mumbai. He happened to be from Jharkhand and he has been living in Mumbai for almost a decade because of his profession in the film industry. And he said, James, I'm from Jharkhand, and while watching this movie, I feel like I want to go back to my hometown because I think his hometown it's a nature bounty kind of thing. The way how I make the film, the visual language of it. Cinema is all about visual language and the sound, the AV, audio visual. I was able to bring that out with my hard work. It became very wholesome. It is 33 minutes. While trying to make this film, while editing, I tried to put lesser communication because the trees and the water and the fire could not speak than just their sound.
Right.
So in the 33 minutes, when I was subtitling it, it's just come to around 1000 word only. So the trees were speaking in my film because in the winter season, the trees are swaying. No?
Right.
Then it signifies that it's a winter season and the trees are moving. I won Best Cinematography Award for this film in the Manipur State Film Awards also. This visual language, it's kind of immersive. They say that in their certificate, they say because of this immersive visuals that I used to put up, that they give this award. When I make this film, I keep the camera on hold. I took like 40 to 50 seconds count. And while editing, in one scene, I put like sometimes 15 seconds, sometimes 20 seconds. We get connected with the nature in the film because the story is also about destruction and restoration. In my film, you will see the fire engulfing the forest, and in the next morning, you will see the devastated zone. No? And there is this restoration, and in due course of time, it's getting restored. The volunteers are there to conserve also. You can see their activities also. And the activity of these youths, that's back to 2002. It's almost 18 years they have been dedicatedly working. And in my film, you can also see tidbits of their life of the insects.
Okay.
I somehow try to blend everything up there and make people fall in love with the forest.
That's very nice. In making the film or whatever film that you are making at the moment or whatever project you are trying to do, what's the biggest challenge that you find in making a documentary?
Documentary film is like, it's a reality. It is different from fiction. Fiction is not shot in real time, but
Right.
documentary you have to shoot in real time. You have to make friendly with your characters so that they don't have any inhibition when you try to shoot them, or they have to come out very natural because it's a competition kind of thing. You don't have to make people feel like it's a make-up story.
Okay.
You are saying something and he has to say something. No? It has to come out natural.
Okay.
So you need a lot of patience. And you need a lot of research also. And this character, Mr. Loya, is one of my main protagonists. It's very interesting. Through him, I came to know many things. Because in the beginning, he was staying alone in the forest for almost like 6 years. It was a barren forest. Then he started planting it. Then he has to say, because when he planted the sapling, the cow used to climb up and eat away the saplings, and he had to put up there. It's being protected around the clock because you never know. And we have a WhatsApp group where we used to alert that if anything goes wrong, then we have to rush. Through Mr. Loya, I get to know a lot about forests and the trees. We have our names, right? You are Ritesh, I'm James,
Right.
and people know us by our names,
Right.
and they can identify by our face
Right.
and the way how we speak. So Loya can actually identify which is to which tree. I mean, like, by the bark or the leaf or the fruit they bear. No, it has become a bioresource. It's become a gene bank of all these indigenous trees also. What challenges is like I have to be with the subject. I have to know the subject. We have to feel and resonate with the things.
Right.
With our subject. Every story has an incubation stage.
Right.
It has to go through our mind. We have to be with the story, and then things come out very simultaneously. And that's the thing.
Okay. And how do you feel when your work was recognized in a big festival like the Mumbai International Film Festival and the film festival that happened in Kerala?
It was my birthday, and I was applying in the international competition section. It has 2 sections. I was applying for the competition section in MIFS in the international section, but I didn't make it to the competition section. But the jury, the screening committee, put my film in the Prism section, international Prism section. So there is also another selection, though not in competition. And from then on, luckily from the international Prism section, the committee and the jury people, they picked up my film to open the film, which was a great thing. It's not an award, but a big honor. In Kerala, it was selected in the competition section. These 2 film festivals are very good festivals in India. They are recognized by International Producers Federations. Okay. They give rating to film festival. Currently, in the whole of the world, there are 44 films recognized by this FIAP, and these 2 festivals in India are also among them. There are, of course, another 1-2 festivals still in India recognized by FIAP. I was in Calcutta when I was taking the flight to Mumbai. Then and there, I got information that my film was going to open the film festival.
In the middle of the fight.
In the middle of the flight, and I was so happy. And till now, I'm celebrating.
We need platforms or exposure for documentary filmmaking. So where does we stand in terms of exposure, in terms of platforms that are growing in India?
First, we should think about our films to make good films. Then the platform is definitely there. If you are making a film, you have to compete and be in the festivals. Going through the festival is not an easy thing also,
Right.
especially the reputed ones. Because competition is so big. Most of this time, there is always an international competition. So people from across the globe is also submitting. So you have to think about it. I mean, of course, local story, but tell with a universal kind of thing. I think in the documentary world, Manipur has been doing really good because in a year, 1 or 2 of us getting the best spot in the top film festival in India. Of course, we need to work a little mile also because we have to go through that A-grade festival. Recognized by FIAP. A grade, in a sense, like festival in Rotterdam, Berlinale, Locarno, those festivals. And when you go to this festival, I think your resource of the film is also there. If your film goes to this festival, then this channel like HBO, OTT platforms, they are ready to pick your film. So that is a charm of it. It's a technical medium. You also have to get attuned with the know-how of the technicality of it.
As a documentary filmmaker, what kind of advice would you like to give especially to the young students or young filmmakers who would like to do documentary or get into documentary filmmaking?
Documentary filmmaking, one has to pick up the camera and start shooting. And coming back, he or she has to observe that shot. And you should not hesitate to take more shots, because sometimes it's very practical. Of course, there has to be writing. You have to formulate that idea, and you have to tell to your friends, because you're making a product and you're going through a test if this product is okay or not.
Right.
For that, you have your friends and colleagues to listen to your story if they like your story, and if that actually makes you happy. If you're happy to tell that story, and if you're satisfied with your story, you are your first audience and your last audience, because it is from you that the story is going to come out.
Right.
So you have to listen to yourself, watch a lot of documentary films, speak to somebody who is already in the profession.
Okay. What kind of stories do you think it's important to tell in the future?
Every story is important, but I think nowadays the environment trend is going on.
The climate change.
I mean, what affects you most in and around your society?
Right,
I think that is going to be very important, and that is going to be what matters most. Because documentary filmmaking is a reality storytelling. Like for myself, as a journalist, I came across so many things. I have a library inside, I have incubated so many things.
Right.
Documentary storytelling is not like writing a short story or a news item. It has also to come out in the visual sense. So when you decided to make one particular story, you have like a character, a person whom you want to shoot. So you have to be with him. You have to become friend with him. You have to get acquainted with him. I mean, you have to be more passionate with the thing that you want to shoot. It could be anything. Or you can even make a film on a table also.
Right.
Like how you impersonate the table matters. And you never know, in our minds, in our subconscious mind, things has been creeping up, and you never know anything comes, any good ideas that could be valuable to the society also matters.
And where do you see Manipuri cinema, documentary filmmaking, heading in the next few years? Where it stands?
We of course have very good documentary filmmaker, and this time also there was this pitching workshop where documentary projects are developed by our mentors coming from different parts of India, and of course our Manipuri mentor. They are being nurtured, and they are also coming up with a film. Documentary filmmaking takes time, so a project takes 1 or 2 years, sometimes even more years, to get the best and to make it more competitive. So filmmaking, if we take it as an industry, and if the state is kind of patronizing it, if there is a support, then it will pick up very fast. We should see the potential of this filmmaking as an industry. Like our neighboring Assam has 200 theaters right now. And some of the film released in Assam have been able to pick up good revenues.
Okay.
In Imphal also, we see a lot of moviegoers. If you feed in good films, more more theaters, people will come out. Nowadays, of course, OTT platform and all is there, people can watch. But watching it in the theater is also a different thing.
It's a whole new experience.
Of course, we should believe in storytelling, because literature is the mirror of the society.
True.
We get to see ourselves through literatures. The government is supporting this Koigi International Film Festival, the broadcasting ministry in Delhi, and of course our state government is also supporting. So I think if this support continues for the next non-stoppable 10 years, then it will be a game changer.
Okay. Thank you so much for the time, James, and hope you have a great project in the future, and hope you find huge success with the project that you're doing right now. Thank you so much for coming to the studio.
Thank you, Ritesh.
Well, listeners, independent filmmaking is an act of passion and persistence. It's about telling those stories that matter, whether the world is ready for them or not. And on that note, you have just listened to an interview with James Khangembam, independent documentary filmmaker, with our interviewer KAKCHINGTABAM, RITESH Sharma. We will be back next week. Until then, stay happy and healthy.